everyone. This is Professor DePaulo welcoming you to Psych 265, fully online. And I'm going to give you just a breakdown of the course, go through the syllabus, and show you how to navigate Blackboard. It's pretty easy, and I've made it as user friendly as possible. But let me walk you through some of the key things here on your Blackboard page. So as you can see here, there are announcements. I left you a welcome announcement here, and the link will take you to the online guide, but you should have either seen this on the homepage of the Blackboard for the course, or you've gotten an email from me showing you this walkthrough guide and asking you to watch it. So my belief is to make videos for everything, and I try to do things step by step to break it down for you to make things easier. So as long as you're watching the walkthrough videos, I think that's going to answer the vast majority of your questions, and anything else that you have can be, emailed or zoomed or whatever we're doing these days. So welcome to Psych 265 fully online. My name is Dan DePaulo, and I'm here at the MCC for, let's see, this 9 years. This is my 9th year, which really is kind of scary. I did my graduate work at Rutgers, and I did my undergraduate work at the College of New Jersey. And I will be your guide for this online journey through the wonderful world of research. I hope that you find this course fascinating, tolerable. There's a lot of jargon, so I don't want you to get weighed down by the jargon, but it's a kind of a different type of course than you're probably used to in psychology. And I find it very fascinating. It's extremely useful, but it's also one of the courses that a lot of students they have a little bit of a harder time with, where they don't find it as interesting as, say, an abnormal psychology or personality or social. But this is kind of like the foundation for everything else. Without research, you have nothing. No psychology at all. So this is kind of very important in that regard because it's the foundation, the nuts and the bolts. And I think this will help you with your further studies, whether it be the upper level undergraduate and then the graduate career if you're pursuing that. The policy is that I respond to all emails, so I ask you to send me emails, not to call, because I will not be on campus. I do have access to voicemail, but it's probably just easier to email. And I check my email pretty frequently, and I will respond within 24 hours on the weekdays and then 48 hours on the weekend, but I generally respond faster than that. So I'll be like out and I'll be like checking my email and I'll respond on my phone pretty quickly. I am very busy these days, but I try to respond to emails as soon as possible, sometimes as shortly as like a few minutes later. Especially if you're up at night, because I tend to be more of a night person. I don't sleep very well, and so I have strange hours. I will post things all hours of the night. I'm not a morning person, so if you send me something like 8 o'clock in the morning, I probably won't get back to you for a little bit of time because I'm just not a morning person at all. You are expected to read the syllabus in full and adhere to the schedule set forth by the course guide. So I'll walk you through the syllabus and the course guide. The weekly guide tab here on the left of your screen, in the left margin, weekly guide, is the key to the course. The course guide also lays out week to week what you have to do, but that's also in the weekly guide. So as long as you look in the weekly guide, you'll be fine. So always look at the weekly guide and do what I ask you to do that week. The syllabus and the course guide is under the course information tab, and this also includes information for Launchpad registration. Launchpad is the online homework software that you are required to purchase. So unfortunately, sometimes you have to spend a little bit of money on things to boost your learning, and Launchpad is one of those things, but it's an excellent product. It's really an excellent product. I don't just give it to you to waste your time. I've actually done the Launchpad myself. It's going to really help you. It's going to force you to study. It's going to force you to learn things that I think are important for the course. And with an online course, I think you need to be a little bit more accountable since I won't be seeing you in class. So the Launchpad is a way to keep you accountable. And so every week you're going to have homework, and you have to do it by the end of the week, which is Sunday night. And if you don't do the homework by the end of the week, the Launchpad gives you a 0. So make sure you're doing it week to week. You cannot just wait to the end of the semester and say, okay, I want to do all the homework now. You can't do that. It's not going to work. You're going to get zeros. And the Launchpad is a large part of your grade. Now, if you buy the Launchpad, you can buy the e-text or the ebook with it. And that's probably the most convenient way to do it is you buy the Launchpad, it comes with the ebook, and you read the ebook online. And we're all used to reading things online, whether it's on your phone, on your tablet, on your computer. We all read. I mean, even the publishers send me review copies now for the computer. They don't send hard copies anymore to me. So everything is digital these days, and I read off my computer constantly. So you probably do that as well. And so if you buy the Launchpad with the ebook, that might be good for you. If you prefer a hard copy of the book, I have placed an order with the bookstore where you can get a loose leaf version. So you get the loose leaf version of the book, and you get the Launchpad code included. So if you buy that from the bookstore, it's a bundle. It's a little bit more than just the Launchpad by itself, but you'll get a loose leaf copy of the book if you prefer to have something solid in front of you. And that's really up to your personal preference because, like I said, I don't really read any solid books anymore. Everything's online. But some people are just comfortable having something to hold on to and read, or they don't want to look at their computer screen forever. Everybody's different. So if you want the hard copy loose leaf, go to the bookstore, order it. It comes with the Launchpad code. You can then enter the code into the Launchpad software. If you don't care about the hard copy and you just want the Launchpad with the ebook, you're going to register for Launchpad. I'm going to show you that shortly. You will have a 2-week free trial of Launchpad. You must register with the same email address that you used for the free trial. So make sure you put the exact same email address for the purchase than you did with the free trial. Otherwise, you're going to come up multiple times in my gradebook, and it's going to be very confusing. So a 2-week free trial, and then you have to purchase the software. Unfortunately, there's no alternative to this, and I think it's a worthwhile investment, and I try to keep the costs as low as possible, but I do not do like a free, ebook, free ebooks or free whatever, just because the majority of the free books out there are lower quality, in my opinion. There might be a couple that are okay, but most of them are not that good. So I tend to use established reviewed books, and the Launchpad is part of that. So I apologize in advance if I'm causing you any kind of financial problem, but you have to purchase the Launchpad for the course. And if you do that and you do everything in the weekly guide in a timely manner, you're going to find the course easy to navigate, straightforward, and watch all the videos I post for you because I'm trying to help you. Do not contact me if you haven't watched the video yet because I'm going to say, have you watched the video? So please watch the video before you contact me with questions because it just makes everything easier. And I try to break it down for you as as well as possible, as easily as possible. So good luck this semester, and I hope that you enjoy the course or at least tolerate the course. And now I'm going to show you how to navigate here. So let's go to course information and we'll get the syllabus. So here's the Launchpad registration. I'll talk about that in a second. Let's look at the syllabus first. And here's the syllabus. So it's a 4-credit course, and you have to have Psych 100 and 2 200-level Psych courses as prerequisites. My office hours are Monday 2 to 4, Wednesday 1 to 2, and this will be on Zoom. And here's the Zoom meeting link. So you click on the link, you'll be in my Zoom room, and we'll be able to set up an appointment, or we'll be able to chat, whatnot. I do sometimes have problems with my webcam. I have to get a new one just because I broke my monitor and I've just kind of delayed getting a new one and a new webcam. So that's going to be a process that will be completed soon. But temporarily, I may not have video access, but I definitely have audio access. So Zoom meeting link. Later in the semester, I may ask you to make an appointment with me just because when advising starts, there's just like a huge demand and I kind of might need to organize things a little bit more. But at the beginning of the course, you can just drop in to the waiting room and then I'll admit you. So you go into like a little waiting room and then I add you to the Zoom and then we can talk. So if you have any questions, either email or we can do Zoom during the office hours. Course description, it's all about research. You know, looking at literature reviews, collecting data. We're going to be doing a survey this semester as a research project. And I generally do a research project with this course every semester. So I'll be designing the research. You'll be basically entering the data. So you'll be taking the survey or whatnot, and then I will analyze the data for you. And then you're going to be writing up the manuscript. So the goal of the course is to learn the different parts of the manuscript, the APA manuscript, which is a research paper, and to submit a finalized, polished copy at the end of the semester. Now, as the semester goes on, you're going to be submitting section by section of the manuscript as rough drafts. And I've kind of jumped ahead of myself, but you can read through all this stuff, which I'm not that interested in. And here's the required reading, the Launchpad. So Discovering the Scientists Within, second edition, and Launchpad. So either from the bookstore or on the website you can get it. You must purchase Launchpad for the course. You get a 2-week free trial. And I talked about the weekly guide, a 2-week free trial of Launchpad. You must purchase it. Please use the same email address that you use for the free trial. Use the same email address for the purchasing. Otherwise, as I said before, it's going to make me crazy because there's going to be multiple of you in the gradebook. And then I have to figure out, you know, is this the first iteration, the second iteration? And I have to connect the dots, and it's annoying. So please use the same email address. It makes my life impossible if everybody just starts using different email addresses. If you have a problem with the software, do not contact me. Call the technical support line. Just because I am not the technical support person. I didn't write the software, and if there's a problem with your browser, I'm not going to be able to fix it. So what I generally tell people that contact me is use a different browser. If it doesn't work with your browser, try a different browser. Try Firefox. Try Google Chrome. Try the new browser from Microsoft. Microsoft Edge. Internet Explorer is gone, so now Microsoft Edge. If you're using, Mac, you can use your Safari. But try different browsers. Usually what happens is if it doesn't work in one browser, if you start another browser, it works. I generally work with Google Chrome, but I also use Mozilla Firefox, and I generally don't have any problem getting it to work. So if it doesn't work, try a different browser. If it still doesn't work and there's an error there, then contact tech support. If tech support can't solve it for you, then you can contact me. And then I will contact tech support, or I will write to them and figure out what's going on. But contacting me at the beginning is kind of pointless because I am not IT. I am just the professor. I am not the IT person. And if there's an error in the software, which there generally isn't, but if there is an error, you should contact them and they will resolve it. Or they will write to me and let me know what's going on. Now, registration for Launchpad, I have it on the syllabus, but I also have it in course information here. So wherever you want to click the link, you click the link, and it takes you to Launchpad. Now, if you don't have an account with Macmillan, and most of you will not have an account with Macmillan. You need to create an account. So you enter all this information, you go through all this, and it makes your account. You could do it the 2-week free trial, but then please register using the same email. Since I have an account, I will log in. So once you get an account, you can log in like this. And I'm going to log in. And then you enter course. And there you go. This is basically telling me what's due. So here's basically what's due in the near future. And I can show all the other assignments, but they're due later on. But what's due right now is Welcome Unit, September 5th, Chapter 1, September 5th. So those are the first 2 assignments, and you see the dates on the right when they're due. So anything that says to do, you want to do. You want to complete it. So we click on it, and Welcome Unit, and there's 2 parts here. This one's worth 5 points. This one's worth 10 points. You see the points there. And if you want to complete them, you have to click on this to complete it. And they basically want you to read through all this stuff. This introduces you to Launchpad. Okay. And then there's a little quiz here about using Launchpad. So if you read the first part, you'll get to the second part. And then once you're done, this will be green. So it'll turn green, and basically you're done. If it turns red, that means you missed the deadline. So you want to do all the work by the deadline. Do not keep emailing me saying, I didn't do the homework. Because then it's a long process that I have to set up to extend things for you, and it's a real pain to extend assignments in Launchpad. And I am not too happy with doing that. So I do not want to be extending the entire semester for you. So do not be one of these students that says, I'm busy now, I'll do everything a week before the end of the course. Because if you do that, there's going to be a problem. I'm not going to let you make up the entire course. If there's an emergency, contact me, and you need an extension on an assignment for an emergency, I'm more, okay with letting you do this. Not more okay, but I'm generally okay if there's an emergency, giving you an extension on something if you ask for it. But if you want an extension on everything, because you haven't done anything the whole semester, I am generally not okay with that. I want you to do the work before the deadline. Simple as that. If you do the work and you study, you work hard, you ask questions when you have it, you watch the videos, you should have no problem in this course. This course is kind of like following directions. If you can follow directions, you'll be fine. If you can't follow directions, you're going to be in trouble. Because everything is following directions. I make the video, you watch it, you follow the directions, you produce the output. I'm happy with that. I don't want you to reinvent the wheel. I don't want you to just write your own assignments. Follow the directions. If you follow directions, we'll be okay. Unfortunately, every semester, there are many students who cannot follow directions or refuse to follow directions, and they feel like doing their own thing. They write their own research, they make up stuff. I mean, it's bizarre. It's really, really bizarre. And I scratch my head in disbelief. But I scratch my head often because most people that I meet are not... I can't figure out why they're engaging in such illogical thinking, and it confuses me. And that's how I think when I see an assignment that is not following any of the directions I asked you to do. I scratch my head and say, what's going on here? That happens all the time, though, unfortunately, in real life and also in my personal life and also in school with students. Students don't follow directions. Other people in my personal life can't understand things that I'm telling them. Yeah, user error, I call it. Happens frequently. I am very straightforward with what I want. And I have expectations to see, that you're making an effort, that you're putting time into it. And I can tell right away when you're not. I can tell when you've done something in 10 minutes, 15 minutes. You just don't have time, you didn't structure your day right, or your week right, and there's a problem. And that's very easy to tell. I can see that in your writing. I know when someone's put the effort in, and I know when someone hasn't. So I expect effort. The reason why I expect effort is because A, it's college. B, I expect you to do something at the higher level of education. I expect you to pursue, at minimum, a bachelor's degree, but I would hope that you would pursue a master's degree or a doctoral degree. Although a master's degree would probably suffice in any numerous fields. It doesn't have to be in psychology. But a master's degree in something else that you can use to get your career jump started. And this course is really I wouldn't say it's a gateway course, but it's a foundational course that you're going to see again at the undergraduate level and then again at the graduate level. You're going to see it again in pretty much anything you study that involves any kind of research. And this sort of thought process that you develop, this critical thinking skills that you develop from taking these kinds of courses like research. I also teach stats, which I'm not teaching this year because of the pandemic, and it's just too much of a hassle. But I also teach stats. These are like two of my favorite courses, research and stats. And they get you to think critically, and these kinds of critical thought processes can help you moving forward. So that's Launchpad. Now, if you want to read the ebook through Launchpad, you click this ebook sign, and chapter 1, you want to read it, click on it, and you have the ebook once it loads. So you're just reading the book like you normally do. And you just click to go to the next page, and you keep doing that. You scroll down, and it'll even read it to you if you want. So if you don't want to actually read it, you can click this button, and it'll read it to you out loud, like audiobook. Now, I kind of prefer reading it. I think you remember more if you actually read it than listen to the audiobook, but if you prefer the audiobook and you think you'll remember things that way, that's fine. Personally, when I read textbooks, I used to take a highlighter and go through it, but you can also highlight notes and look at them here. So you can highlight like this, and now it's in your ebook, and the highlights show up in this thing called Notebook. So if there's something there you want to make note of and highlight it, and go into your notebook. It'll show you all your highlights. And I think that's a pretty good way of processing the information too, is highlighting things. And you can then just click and unhighlight it. If you want to unhighlight it, it disappears from your notebook. So highlight it. I used to do this all the time with my textbooks. I'd highlight things, and then I go through the highlights. But you can do the same thing with the ebook. And even if you buy the loose leaf version, you still get the ebook. So if you choose to buy the loose leaf version, you have the ebook too. So you could use the ebook sometimes and use the loose leaf sometimes. If you pay, it's a few bucks more for the loose leaf, but it's like I said, it's up to you, whatever you prefer. But that's basically how to use the ebook and how to use Launchpad. Very easy, and you won't see all of this because this is my page, but you'll see something like if you're a student, you'll see assignments as a student. So here you'll see as a student 0% complete, it'll turn green when you're done with it. 0% complete. So you want this to be 100% complete. All the assignments, anything that you see to do next to, like here and here, has to be 100% complete. So when you complete this and this will turn green, green, green. And then when you complete chapter 1, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 activities, and they're worth different amount of points. Green, 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 100%, you're done. And there's obviously other things that are due later. Chapter 2, you see the dates, you see all the due dates, all the way into December. If you do everything when it's assigned, things will work out for you. If you don't do it when it's assigned, you get a 0. And then you're writing to me saying, please open up these chapters. And then I'm going to ask you why. And sometimes people are okay with why, and sometimes people are not okay with why. So, or I should say, maybe sometimes I'm okay with your version of why, and sometimes I'm not okay with your version of why. So if you want to ask for an extension because you have a legitimate reason, that's fine. If you want to ask for an extension just because you were busy with X, Y, and Z and didn't allocate enough time to the course, not as fine. And I only say this because every semester it happens. Every single semester. So please do not be this person. Please do not be that person. Okay. So let's get out of here. So I'm getting out of Launchpad. I'm going back to the syllabus. Oh, the syllabus is right here. Okay. So that's Launchpad. And here's the tech support link. Now, besides Launchpad, another major component of the course is the research paper. This is the APA manuscript. You're going to be writing all the sections of an APA manuscript, which is the abstract, the introduction, the method, the results of discussion, and then the reference page. You'll be writing all those sections except for the results. I will write the results. You don't have to do that because that's looking at data and doing stats. You're not required to do stats in the course for the manuscript. You will write everything other than the results. You will be asked to submit rough drafts of each section. So I'll assign you an introduction. You'll have a couple of weeks to write the introduction. That's the rough draft. I will then grade that rough draft and send you feedback. At the end of the semester, you're going to revise all of those rough drafts and submit me the complete final paper. And the final paper will include the results section. I'm going to write the results section for you. So all you have to do is copy and paste the results into the final paper. But you'll have to provide all the other sections of the paper. And if you've been writing the rough draft, you'll be fine. If you're not writing the rough drafts, you're going to get zeros, and then the final paper is going to be ridiculous because you'll have no idea what to write. You'll sort of have an idea, but you won't have any feedback from me, and you're going to probably write a really, I would say, substandard paper for the most part. So it's very important that you write all the rough drafts, and I want you to spend time writing the rough drafts. I want you to make effort. So I just don't want you to write some crap, an hour before the paper is due, the section is due. Oh, you didn't have time to do it, so I'll do it when I write the final copy. No. And the reason why I want you to spend time is because the final paper grade is going to be 50% of your rough draft average and 50% for the revised paper. And this is going to force you to spend time on the rough draft. And I'm going to grade the final paper harder than the rough draft, obviously. But I'm also going to look for quality in the rough draft. I'm going to look that you made an effort. I'm going to write a lot of comments so that you learn from your mistakes and that you can then draft a better paper at the end. So please put the effort into the rough draft because you're getting graded for it, one, and you're going to learn from it. If I see you just submit one paragraph of something that's not meaningful just because you didn't have time and you wanted to submit something, you're going to get a very low grade on the rough draft, and that's going to pull your grade down. So once again, there are due dates. I expect you to submit a quality rough draft for each section. Starts with the introduction, then the method, then it's the discussion, and then the title, abstract, and reference. So there's going to be 4 rough drafts, and then you're going to revise them for the final paper. So put an effort into that. Class participation is mainly through doing the homeworks and then doing the discussion boards. So there'll be discussion boards throughout the semester, and you have to complete those as well. So you're doing the Launchpad every week, the discussion board most weeks, and the components of the paper, the rough draft, and then the final copy. In addition to that, you're going to have 2 exams, a midterm and a final. So there's a load of stuff you have to do for this course. This is a challenging course. It's a challenging course. And you're going to have to persevere. It's a 4-credit course, so I'm expecting more work, more effort. It's like taking a course in a third. So you're going to have rough drafts of the 4 parts of the paper or 4 components, and then you're going to have Launchpad every week, and you're going to have discussion board. There's 10 discussion boards throughout the semester, and over the course of the whole semester. And then you're going to have a midterm and a final. So, yeah, it's a lot of work, but it's doable. And every single person can get an A in the course if you put the time and effort in. I give plenty of A's. I also give plenty of F's. So I really give a whole realm of grades. The people that complain about the course, that are complaining about me personally, are people that don't make the effort. They don't make the effort, then they get a bad grade, whether it's, a D and F, sometimes a C where they're not happy with a C, and then they complain, how did I get this? This guy's a hard grader. I hear that all the time. He gives too much work. He's crazy. Well, I guess I'm a little crazy. But I really don't consider myself a hard grader. I consider myself looking for effort. And I want to help you. I'm challenging you because I want to help you get better and move on to bigger and better things and not be stuck at BMCC. Because this is not where you want to be stuck. You want to get out of BMCC as fast as possible, get on with your life. Get the education, get the training you need for that job that you want. And then you look back and say, well, I really wasn't looking forward to that research course, but I really persevered. It was a challenge and I got through it, and it helped me later on. That's what I'm looking for. So I don't want to hear about, well, this is BMCC, it should be easy, or my other courses are easy. No. I teach the same quality of course at BMCC than I did at Rutgers. Same quality. I didn't dumb anything down. Why should it be dumbed down? There's no reason for that. I have expectations. You should have expectations of yourself. And you need to meet those expectations. So don't be lazy. Don't procrastinate. And if you have questions, watch the videos. And if you can't understand or you still have questions, contact me. And I will help you. I'm not going to help you write the papers, but I can give you tips. I will give you plenty of feedback after the rough draft, but I'm not going to read the paper through before you submit the rough draft. No. I will give you tips. I'll give you suggestions, but I'm not going to just continuously edit the paper ad infinitum. There's one rough draft and one final copy. And that makes sense because that makes you have more of a stake in things when things are set up this way. In terms of if you have problems in terms of finances, housing, security, you want to visit the Advocacy Resource Center. If you're having problems with stress, anxiety, depression, or you just need to talk to someone about the stresses in your life, we have the counseling center, and they do virtual now. They'll probably have in person, and they'll also be virtual. So sign up for counseling. There's nothing wrong with counseling. It's actually a good thing. When I was a student, I went to counseling. Very helpful because college students have a lot of stress. You got a lot of things going on. You're not sure. And then you have the COVID crap to deal with that never ends. That's been ridiculous. I mean, you're living through one of the most challenging times ever, and it really sucks to be a student. Really sucks to be a student during COVID. It's terrible. I feel terribly for the students that have to deal with this. Because when I was a student, I didn't have to deal with COVID. I went to class. I went in person. I talked to my professors. I was part of a college community. I hung out with people. I had a normal college experience for the most part. With COVID, just blew everything up. It really sucks. I mean, there's nothing. I can't say anything more profound than it's a really shitty experience with COVID. So I feel for you, but I also want you to sort of persevere and get through this and move on with your life. You don't want to be stalled because of COVID, because COVID's not going away. I mean, COVID's endemic. You're going to have COVID like you're going to have seasonal flu. So you're going to have flu vaccine, you're going to have COVID vaccine. It's not going away. Hopefully we can get it under control and get people vaccinated and get people, to use precautions, but COVID is here to stay. It's another reason you might need counseling. So please sign up for counseling. It's a really stressful time. It's free. Use it. If you have any incidents with discrimination, harassment, including sexual harassment, you need to go to the Office of Compliance and Diversity. They'll help you out. If you have accessibility issues, so you have either documented disability or you have special needs, like you need extended time or you need something else, that's determined by the coordinators and the officers in the Office of Accessibility. You must apply with them. You must visit them. They must tell me what accommodations you receive. I cannot just give you accommodations because you're asking for them. The only way I can give you accommodations is that the Office of Accessibility contacts me and says, this student needs X, Y, and Z. So I need it has to be documented. So you have to visit or call or email the Office of Accessibility and get that all worked out with them. So please do that, especially if you're getting it on a semester-to-semester basis and you want to roll it over, whatever accommodations you receive typically, please contact them so they can send me an email saying that you get these things, whether it's extended time or whatnot. And then I will give you that online, of course. Now, in terms of plagiarism, I expect your work to be your own work. If you copy and paste something like a previously submitted paper, I will know about it because I'm using Turnitin for everything. And Turnitin tells me word for word where you got it, if it's copied word for word, and how much of the paper is copied. I've had students turn in entire papers that were duplicated. And if you violate this plagiarism policy, you get an automatic F for the semester. And then I also have to submit a documentation to the college who determines whether you're going to be suspended or expelled, whatnot. So you do not want this. Make sure you do not copy and paste anything. And when you're writing your paper, you want to use paraphrasing. So this is another one thing that the students always mess up. Do not copy anything word for word. Even if you cite it word for word and you give the source, it's still plagiarism. You need to put things in your own words. You need to paraphrase. Put it in your own words and then give credit, then give the citation. And that's very important when you write the introduction because you're going to be using previous research. And in that previous research, you're going to be summarizing some of it. Make sure it's in your own words. Do not copy and paste and then cite. That's not acceptable. It must be in your own words. And the first discussion board is going to be about paraphrasing. We all have to learn to paraphrase. So no direct quotes. This is not English. I do not want to see direct quotes at all in anything. This is not like an English class or literature class where you're doing a block quote. You're just copying and pasting. You're saying, okay, I'm going to use this passage to defend my thesis. No. In psychology, there are no direct quotes. Everything is paraphrased and then cited. And the citation style is author, comma, date. That's the APA citation style. We're going to be using APA citations in the course, not MLA, not Chicago, not footnotes, none of that stuff. APA citation. In terms of the grading, midterms 20%, finals 20%, Launchpad totals is 25%. That's the homework. Discussion boards totals is 10%. And the research paper, which is a combination of the rough draft average and the final revised paper average, that's 25%. So there's a lot to do there. Launchpad is very important. 25% of your grade, huge part. But they're all important. There will be no incomplete grades given in the course. The reason why is because students constantly abuse it. I've given incompletes pretty much every semester. In maybe one or two cases, a student completed the work on time. In every other case, students have just dropped the ball completely. I have to chase them down, or they contact me one day before the incomplete deadline's up and they submit like the whole semester worth of assignments. And I can't do this. Can't grade all that. So I got sick of incompletes. So many students ask for them and they don't do the work. And it's not fair maybe to the one student that has this, a realistic thing to deal with. But most people that ask for incompletes do not have a reasonable ask. The fact is they just didn't do the work and now they're panicked and they ask for incomplete. And they figure, okay, I'll have the whole summer or the whole winter to do it. It'll be fine. Guess what? They don't do it. And then I have to chase them down and it just raises my aggravation levels to very high. If you're having a serious problem with the course, reach out to me. If you need to take a WU, you can't finish the course because if something happens, you could appeal that to a W and retake the course. But if you're having serious problems with the course and you need to discuss it with me, talk to me. Do not reach out to me at the end of the semester asking for an incomplete because you haven't done any of the work. Because then I'll say, you haven't done any of the work. Because that happens every semester. If you don't do the work, withdraw from the course or take the F. I'm fine, having you withdraw from the course and then take it when you have time. But don't come to the end of the semester and you haven't done anything. You say, oh, can I have it incomplete? I haven't gone to 3 months worth of assignments. Do not do this to me. Because the answer will be no. So, incomplete, and it's also incomplete's not fair to all the students because you have some students that are doing the work every week, they're working hard, and then another student gets an incomplete and they get an extra 6 weeks to finish. It's not fair to them because if you gave a student 6 weeks to finish and you gave another student 1 week to finish, doesn't seem like an even playing field. So the incomplete has its niche, has its purpose, but in a very, very rare circumstance. And professors are giving them out constantly, and it's just stupid. And your other professors might agree to give incomplete to anyone and for everything. I'm not doing this. If your other professors want to do that, it's fine. They can do what they want. It's their course. But that's my policy because students abuse it. Here's the class schedule. One other thing, please make sure you're registered and make sure you paid your bill. Because if you haven't paid your bill, they will drop you very quickly. And your whole schedule will disappear. And then guess what? I can't add you back because the drop add period's over. And you're kind of in you're in this sort of nebulous state, right? You're not in the class, you're not out of the class, but I can't give you a grade. Even if I want to give you a grade, I can't because they've dropped your schedule. So make sure if you have financial aid, clear it with the bursar's office. Make sure you're cleared. Because there's one thing the college wants more than anything else, and that's for you to pay your bill. It's very important. Whether you're paying it yourself or financial aid's paying it, they want their bill. They want it paid. And if it's not paid, they're not going to be happy. And the best way for them to get back at you is drop your entire schedule. And that teaches you, hey, don't mess with us. Pay us, basically. And I've seen it before, and I've had students come crying, and it's a big mess. So don't let it get to that. You probably know this already, but if you don't, clearing your bill for the semester is the most important part of attending BMCC. And you also know this when if you're trying to register for classes, if you owe $150, they put a hold on your registration, right? For $150. I had a homeless student who owed a library book. They put a hold on her registration. I offered to pay her library book off, to pay her $150 hold off for her. They wouldn't let me. I was like, in disbelief. I said, I'll pay this for the student. Because the student was homeless. She had no money at all. She was living in a shelter. And she couldn't afford to pay her bill, and they locked her out. And they wouldn't even let me pay for it, which kind of made my head spin, but these are the rules. So please pay your bill or work out something with them. And that's pretty much it for the syllabus. The other document you would need would be the course guide. This gives you week by week what is due. All right, topic, readings, assignment, due dates for every week of the semester. So that's the course guide. Now, this is helpful, but it's also helpful to look in the weekly guide. So the weekly guide, you'll have a folder. Psychology is a Science, week 1. You click on it. Right at the top, this is from the course guide. This is what you have to do, the to-do list for week 1. You want to read this chapter. You want to do Launchpad Welcome Unit and Chapter 1 in Launchpad. And it's due on this date. And this introduction video is basically what I'm talking about right now. I've also posted it under week 1. Here's a lecture for Chapter 1. So you click on this, it brings you to YouTube. You can watch the whole lecture on Chapter 1. So I have lectures for every chapter on YouTube. I think the lectures are good. Maybe you like them, maybe you don't, but these are my lectures. I have also provided you the PowerPoints for the lecture. So this is if you don't want to watch the YouTube video for whatever reason, you can get the PowerPoints. Most students like the video better than the PowerPoints, but you can also print out the PowerPoints and have them with you and take notes on the PowerPoints if you want to add stuff to it while you're watching the video. Everything's on YouTube. All the videos on YouTube. You can watch them on your phone, on your tablet, on your computer. You might find them interesting, you might find them monotonous. It is what it is. I mean, it's as interesting as I can make it. There's a lot of details. There's a lot of things that are not as exciting in a research course. So, yeah, the course is not as exciting as my abnormal psychology course is going to be very interesting to most students, and they're going to be like, "Wow, this is cool. And they're going to have a million questions. They're going to be fascinated by it because I generally teach abnormal all the time too. But then they compare it to like research or stats, and they're like, "This is torture." It's not torture. It's just a different thing. And so you have to take that in mind. So keep an open mind when you're watching it. Try to learn from it. Try not to be too bored by it. I'm doing my best to try to make it interesting, but it's inherently it's not unless you're really into this. Like my brain thinks like this, which is probably a problem overall in my life. Is that my brain thinks in this kind of logical analysis way, and most people's brains don't think like this. So it's great for like being a professor and teaching stats or research methods. It's terrible for like other things in life. Like so, it's your brain probably works more like a normal person's brain works than my brain, and so you may not find this as fascinating, but if you do, that's great. If you have questions and you want, I feel free to talk to me about it, and I'll try to make it interesting because I actually find it interesting. But then I'm one of the few that probably, when I was a student, I found this stuff interesting. I was just like, I got to learn all this stuff. I got to absorb all this information. But I went for a PhD. I studied things on my own for fun. Most people wouldn't read textbooks for fun, whether it be like science, whether it be medicine, mathematics. These things are all fun to me. And most people don't find that stuff fun. Uh, but if you can just kind of appreciate it and try to sort of see it for what it is and see it as important, I think it'll help you. Then here's Launchpad. So if you click on these links, it takes you to Launchpad, and you complete the Launchpad. And there's a couple of videos that I've posted that I want you to watch that are about science in general. And the second one is Amazing Randy, who's a magician. And this is the famous case of Uri Geller, the Israeli psychic, well-known Israeli psychic, who used to be able to bend spoons with his mind. So psychokinesis. And there's one of his appearance on the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. It's Johnny Carson really puts him to it, right? So it's the idea of like, just because someone says they can do something or they can show that they can do something, do you really believe it? And that ties into Occam's razor. So is it more likely that someone has psychic powers, or is it more likely that someone's tricking you? People like to believe in psychic powers. They like to believe in all this stuff. So it's an interesting video. It's an interesting idea of like pseudoscience versus real science. And I am solidified in terms of real science. I want data. I want to test the hypotheses. I want it to be very rigorous testing of those hypotheses. And then replication. So there's a lot of issues in psychology with that, but I'll talk about that at a later time. But I want you to think critically about science. So every week you're going to have in the weekly guide, week 1, week 2 is going to show up eventually, week 3, all the way down here to the end. If you do everything in the folder each week, you're fine. So the weekly guide is your key here. And that's pretty much it. I mean, when you have discussion boards, so in week 2, you'll have discussion board 1. Here's the assignment. Here's the due date. And when you click on the discussion board, it'll bring you to a blank forum. You need to create thread to post. So you will not be able to read other people's posts until you post your own. right? You do not have to reply to anyone in this course. So you could just post, you don't need to reply because it's not really about discussion, it's more about your analysis of each assignment. So you're just going to create thread and then you're going to give it a, here's the post. You can put discussion board 1 or whatever the topic is. Discussion board 1 is fine. And then you're going to write your thing, your response here, and then hit submit. Do not attach files, just write it in the box. Or copy and paste it from Word or whatever. Doesn't matter. But you cannot attach a file. And that's pretty much it. If you haven't done the e-learning orientation, there's an e-learning orientation. So if you're new to online learning, please do the e-learning orientation. So you want to click on the e-learning orientation, and then I'm not going to ask for a download certificate, but if you haven't done an online course before, make sure you're doing this e-learning orientation so you learn more about Blackboard. And the assignments tab, the last one I'm going to talk about. So in this assignments tab, you have all your videos. So this is writing introduction video, and then you have directions, text directions as a PDF. And then you have introduction where you submit your introduction. So this is your rough draft. So your introduction rough draft should be submitted as a PDF. You will not see this until it's available. So this one won't be available till September 13th. So when it's due, you'll see it pop up here. But in the assignments tab, this is all for the manuscript. So I always give you a video. I will add videos too, so you don't see the video for everything, but you see videos for some of these things. So I'll have a video for each section, except the results section. I will post the results section here. I will write that myself. But you'll have a video, you'll have a step-by-step PDF directions, and then you'll have a place like this where you submit it, where you upload a PDF. Everything has to be a PDF upload. So I can run it through the Turnitin program to make sure you're not plagiarizing. So that's introduction, the method, the discussion, and then the title, abstract, references. And at the end, you'll have your final revised paper. So after you've submitted all the rough drafts and I've graded them and gave you feedback, you're going to submit your final revised paper here. So all your rough drafts and final paper of the manuscript is under the assignments tab. And I think that's it. So if there's any other questions, please let me know. If not, I'll see you online, and I'll see some of you during the office hours. And I hope you enjoy the course, and feel free to reach out if you have any other questions.